What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Death Valley. So before I get too far into this, I do want to say if there's a little bit of background noise between the guys outside with leaf blowers, the AC being on, and the dryer being on, there's a little bit of noise behind me, but hopefully my voice will just drown that out. But I do want to at least make that known for anybody who's maybe using headphones or anything like that. Yeah, Death Valley is a brand new film coming out later this week on December 9th, this coming Thursday, on the horror streaming service called Shudder. I was lucky enough to get another early screener, and I was very hyped to check this one out. So when the movie opens, we have this woman covered in blood in some sort of facility running from some sort of creature. And right out of the gate, that got me intrigued. This woman would go on to send out some sort of distress message to kind of have somebody come and save her. And that's when we meet our main characters, who are part of like this militia group that are going to go in and try and save this woman. When they get there, they realize that they're in for way more than they bargained for. And there are these creatures and these monsters. That's all I'll say about the movie in terms of its plot. But let's talk about my general thoughts. Overall, I found it to be a pretty cool movie. It wasn't the greatest film of all time on a narrative standpoint, but overall, visually, and just the way that they used the fairly lower budget, I found it to be a very entertaining film. As a big fan of horror and sci-fi, I think that this movie did a pretty cool job of blending the two, while also having a really great creature at the center of it. The creatures in this film and the creature effects on them, the practical makeup, the practical suit that they wear is really great, and without a doubt is the biggest highlight of this film. This film is directed by Matthew Ninaber, who I'm not super familiar with, but his brother is actually the lead star in this film as well, Jeremy Ninaber, and I believe that's how you pronounce their name, Ninaber, I'm not too sure, but either way, Matthew and Jeremy are, working together here in this film, and based on what I've seen on IMDb, it seems like they work together on a lot of films, but Matthew both wrote and directed the film, while his brother Jeremy was the lead star in the film, and I think everybody for the most part gives a pretty good performance in this film. You also have Ethan Mitchell in this film as one of the other main stars, as well as Kristen Kaster, who's the woman that I mentioned was running covered in blood at the very beginning of the film. Overall, I feel like everybody gave a pretty believable and grounded performance. Where this film kind of lost me though a little bit was in where the story went. The first 15 to 20 minutes had me hooked, had me engaged. It seemed like it was going to be a pretty big, fun, over-the-top sci-fi action movie that reminded me a lot of like a blend of Overlord, Resident Evil, and A Quiet Place. I definitely like all of those things, so it seems like it'd be great, but overall I feel like the story eventually never really got anywhere that got me super excited. With that said, I was entertained throughout, and I think that if you're scrolling through Shudder and you're looking for something to watch and you haven't checked this one out yet, I think it's worth watching. The biggest positives, without a doubt, about this movie for sure are the visual effects, the cinematography, the way that the film is directed and put together. I found to be really great. I think where the film lost me a little bit really was in a lot of the character logic. There were moments of the story where characters weren't really making decisions that really made sense to me or the two others that I was watching the film with. We were just talking to the screen consistently, feeling like the characters were making decisions that just did not make sense, that just kind of put them in more danger. And a lot of times it just felt like they were kind of abandoning the rules that they were learning about these creatures and what to do as they were continuing to go. So overall, I found it to be an enjoyable film, but it's not a film that I'm absolutely crazy to rewatch again. But if you're a big fan of creature features like I am, if you enjoy a good horror film with a monster at the center with really great practical effects, I think that this film definitely delivers on that front. I think big horror makeup fans are definitely going to enjoy the visuals of this film. And again, what I really enjoyed about this film is that you can tell there's a lower budget feel, and so the way that the camera moves, this tight angles on the actors, and a lot of the kind of same used locations are all used in a very clever way to kind of keep you in the loop, that thinking that this place is a lot bigger than it actually is, but you can tell they were just kind of using a lot of camera angles and things like that to kind of mask the lower budget, but I think it was done very well. Overall, I found it to be a really enjoyable watch, again, for what it is, but narratively it doesn't really have that thing that brings me back to watching a movie again. I can't say that I'm clamoring to rewatch it, but it is a movie that I do recommend if you're a horror fan and if you have Shudder. I don't necessarily know if it's one of those things where I'm saying go get Shudder for it, or get a 30-day trial on Shudder for it, but if you ever stumble upon it, I think it's definitely worth a watch, especially if you're a fan of monsters and creature features. So that's going to be my thoughts on Death Valley. Whether you've seen this movie or you haven't seen this movie, whether you're watching this way after the movie's release, whatever the case may be, please leave your comments down below. Did you like this movie? Did you not like this movie? Are you intrigued to see what this director does more of? Yeah, definitely curious to hear what you guys have to say about this movie, and yeah, big thanks to you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.